Today is June 15th, 2013, and we are interviewing Mr. Rhode Bronk in Springfield, Illinois. Mr. Bronk was born March 31st, 1947. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I am with the Illinois State Library, and I will be the interviewer. Mr. Bronk, could you state for the record what branch of service and what war you were served with?
I served in the United States Army. I served in Vietnam campaign.
Okay, and what was your rank, or your highest rank?
My highest rank when I was discharged was E5, Buck Sergeant.
Okay, would you like to share your history, your story?
After high school, I went to work in Milwaukee for a year, and then I got my draft notice. Since it was early on in the Vietnam War, and we were just farm kids, we didn't know anything about protesting. I got drafted, and I went in with a smile, like most kids did at that time. I got sent to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for basic training. And then I got sent to Fort Polk, Louisiana for infantry training. But while I was at Fort Leonard Wood, I scored high in leadership on my testing because in high school I took good hard courses, the math courses and the physics and stuff like that. So I figured, well, I must be pretty smart. Well, every so often they'd take us in front of a commanding officer in basic training, and a whole bunch of us asked if we wanted to be going to officers training school. And most of us declined because we were drafted. You know, if you became an officer, you had to resign and then sign up for 2 more years after all the training. We didn't want to put in the time. I guess we were young. So I didn't. Well, then they told us, well, you're going to go to infantry training. It's a Fort Polk if you don't. So that's what happened. I went to Fort Polk. We did our infantry training. Came home for leave, and then they sent us to Vietnam. And I got shipped off to the 25th Division in Cu Chi. And they gave us a little training there. I was afraid of heights, but we had to learn how to fly in them helicopters. We called them Eagle flights. That's basically what we did. They'd fly us in, and we'd run through a complex or a wooded area, and they'd pick us up on the other side. We engaged, fire. Some days we did, some days we didn't. And a lot of times we called it humping the boonies. Sometimes we spent weeks just marching through the jungle looking for stuff. And a lot of us didn't know what we were really doing, what our purpose was, I guess. We just followed orders. So in May of '67, we were engaged in a pretty hot, a lot of fire coming, and we were in the rice paddies, and it was mined. There was about 12 of us that got hit by mines. I got hit from the shoulders down in the back. So we were airlifted. I got airlifted back to our base. And they tried to clean us up, all the shrapnel. And I stayed at the base hospital, I think, for about a month. Then they sent me to Saigon for another month to rehab because they didn't want to ship us out of the country. I had a bad wound on my leg and back, and I still carry shrapnel on my back of the wounds. For about a month in Saigon, then they shipped me back to the 25th Division, and I was off for another month on light duty. And then after that, we got shipped back out. We went on our patrols and whatever we had to do. And I went to an R&R to Thailand for a week, which was great. And we came back. It was a lot of people that went to Thailand didn't come back. They stayed. Tried to go home, but I came back. So I did my year in Vietnam, and went home, and then on my orders after Vietnam, my home address was, I think, California or something. They had the address wrong. So I got shipped to Fort Lewis, Washington for another 6 months. At the reception station, where I made E5, and I ran the swing afternoon shift getting the draftees coming off the buses, the hippies from California, and we had some San Diego and Alaska also. So that was kind of fun. We do the paperwork and get them put into rosters and barracks and stuff. So after 6 months of that, I got discharged and went home. That was the end of my Army career. And then I went out, got a job, went to work, and then after a few years, I decided to go back to school and use my GI benefits and got a 2-year degree in instrumentation technology. And the utility down in Illinois, ComEd, was building all the nuke plants, so they were looking for people. And our school had about 100 of us that came down in the years after to work for ComEd. Some went back, some stayed. I stayed. My wife being a speech teacher, she got a job as a speech teacher in the city we lived in, Morris. So. And then we raised 2 kids. Ben was born in 1980. Katie was born in 1982. Both of them were good students, A students. Both of them got tuitions picked up by the University of Champaign because they were good students. Ben became a computer engineer. Katie was she's an engineer also. I can't forget what she is, but she does engineering also. And they both work for Lockheed Martin. So they got our son Ben was always into aircraft flying. Always had pictures of jet planes on his walls in his bedroom now. He's down in Marietta, Georgia, and they do flight testing, but he does the data acquisition for the F-22. So he's pretty high up in the company now. Her daughter, Katie, and her husband both work for Lockheed Martin. She just got a big raise, so she's making big dollars now too. They live in Virginia. And I'm retired, with a good retirement. Wife's retired, so life is good. Being a farm boy, I always plant a big garden and give the stuff away to the neighbors and the food pantry back home. So, and I do woodworking on the side. And once a month we go to our LaSalle Veterans Home. We do woodworking with them. 3 or 4 of us go there. We have a guy that cuts up all the pieces. And we help the whole guys hold the drill motors and paint and put stuff together. And then they have a bazaar and they sell everything that we put together. And keeps the program going. So that's how life has been. I've had a good life. It was hard really being raised on a farm. We were pretty poor, but there was 8 of us, and we were happy. All the neighbors had a lot of kids. We had 2 lakes with a swimming place to fish.
Well, I have some questions for you.
Okay.
When you got your draft notice and you went to Fort Leonard Wood, did you have long hair?
No.
Okay.
Longer. No, I was not a hippie. Because we were farm kids, we were kind of naive about the world,
Okay. How was it when they came at you to have your hair cut? What did you think? Do you remember?
I didn't fight it. No, I didn't think it was really bad. It was a hygiene purpose. That's the reason they did it.
Okay.
No problem with the haircuts, no.
So you didn't feel like, oh boy, I'm going to lose my identity.
We all lost identity, period. Yeah, right. There was,
okay.
The thing is with, I learned because back in Wisconsin with the black people, we didn't have any black people except at the university. You go to town, you'd see some, There was no racism in service rounds that I had, and I never was confronted with racism, but no problem with the black people or the haircuts. But since there was a lot of us, we had laundry service, we had to do our own laundry in basic training. And they wanted, stuff ironed. We learned to iron, put a blanket on the foot locker and iron our clothes. And there was a lot of recruits that would wash their whites first time around with the fatigues. They had green t-shirts and underwear.
Did they issue an iron with your
I don't know if it was issued or it was available. I can't remember. But we had guys that knew how to iron. I learned how to iron. I still can iron clothes. I mean, being in the military, you kind of keep your clothes neater, I guess. I always do. The shoes polished. Still do, yeah.
You know, back when you were in the service, 66 and 68, you had to spit shine your shoes,
Right.
boots. Was that an every night thing that you had to do?
Yes, you did. You cleaned your boots every night. And once you made the spit shine, you just kind of rebuffed it, which didn't take that much. Yeah, it was every night.
Now, did you have to spit shine your boots that you
wore
in the
every
field?
day.
That
You had
every
two
day?
sets of boots, and I think they were marked. One had white on the back a little bit, so you changed every day. They would check. So everybody put them out once one day with a little mark, and the next day, so you let them air out and stuff. But on a farm we wore pretty heavy shoes, so that wasn't.
It wasn't difficult.
Not for me, no.
When after AIT, did you get to come home?
Yes, twice actually, because in between it was Christmas. So we got to go home for Christmas. And then after our infantry training, which was probably end of January, we got to go home for a couple of weeks. And then I caught a bad cold and sore throat and stuff. But when I got to Nam, they gave me some, I think, penicillin pills or something. It cleared it up in a hurry.
How did you get over to Vietnam?
We flew to Oakland, I think we flew out of Oakland, California, and then they put us in rosters, and I don't know how they did it, but we flew commercial or chartered or whatever. They had a name for the planes. But it was a commercial plane with commercial stewardess, but it was all GIs. So when we stopped in Hawaii, I remember, for fueling, I think in the Philippines.
But you didn't have any time to.
No, we could get off the plane, but you had to be back on in about an hour or less or something.
When you landed in Vietnam, did they take you in a convoy to wherever you were going? Or did you know where in Vietnam you were going?
No, we didn't. We landed in Bien Hoa, and the first thing you got off the plane, it was the humidity and the heat. It's the first thing that hits you. It's hot. No, I think we spent a week there where they processed you into units. It wasn't, and then we took a convoy to our unit. And Cu Chi, which was close to Saigon, Bien Hoa was that far either from Saigon. Didn't take that, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. We were at our base camp in our companies, and we did some training there also on mines and some weapons and booby traps and stuff. And our first helicopter flight, how it feel like.
When you were there at Cu Chi, did you get to come back to your base camp quite a bit, or were you out?
I think our longest stay out was a month. Yeah, we did quite a bit, maybe every couple of weeks, a week sometimes. It depended on duration. And sometimes they would fly out in C-130s, I think, as further out, where we'd stay out longer. But most of the time, no, we were out in the boonies, and you'd get one hot meal in the evening if they could fly it in. Usually they could. I remember I learned how to drink tea because that's all they would serve. At first it was hot, and somebody, the battalion commander, got mad, told him to bring it in with some ice. So
So they brought it in with ice.
Otherwise it was warm tea. And you're out there all day. There's no cold drinks or nothing except from we call them mama sans, which they would be out selling. They knew where we were at. They'd be out there selling. They had burlap bags with ice and Coke. They would even sell beer, but that was a bomb, they called it. It was surprising. A lot of times they would tell us the next day, or you guys are going to be leaving the next day. They would know. The civilians or whoever they were. And we say, well, we'll buy some tomorrow. Well, tomorrow you'll be gone. Yeah. But yeah, we would buy the local Coca-Cola in bottles.
Was the Coca-Cola, did it taste the same as?
Yeah, I think it was close. Yeah, it was Coca-Cola.
Now, when you would come back to base, your base camp, did you get to shower and change?
Yes, we did, yeah.
What, did you have running water? Or did
No,
you
no,
have
we
to-
had elevated storage units.
Did you have to go fill those up
No,
yourself?
they were filled. I think they were actually canvas tanks that were hung. And you got underneath, this open area.
Was it real hot water?
No, it was just room temperature water. They would heat it.
They wouldn't need it.
No, but there was a lot of times when we stayed out in the field, guys would, nobody was modest. They would just pull up what the Vietnamese, we called them books, but Vietnamese had was just a long pole with a bucket that would go in a well and they'd yank it out of the ground. And one guy would pour it on another guy naked and he'd scrub up a lot.
When you got mail call, and what kind of things would your families and the other your fellow officers and fellow soldiers, what kind of things did you guys share? What kind of things did you get from home in your goodie bags?
Didn't get very many. They wouldn't ship them out in the field because it was too much to haul out. Even I think my sister bought me a subscription to our local newspaper, but they never came out in the field. You got them when you got in base camp. You get a whole stack of papers to read. But no, there was no goodie bags in there. I know our neighbor sent me for my birthday, I think, some money, a couple of dollars or $5. It was illegal to keep American money in Vietnam, because we used military script for Vietnamese money. So no, we didn't see very many packages at all.
Did you guys get paid over there?
Yes, we did. We got paid
in military money?
military script, but most of us set up accounts where most of the money went back into a savings. So we took it out when we got back, out of service actually.
Did you guys buy war bonds, or did they have war bonds in
No, we did
Vietnam?
that. No, I didn't buy no bonds. No.
Okay, so you got to go to Thailand for
R&R for a week.
R&R. And was that like a 1 week or 2 weeks?
1 week.
1 week. Okay, and what did you do in Thailand? Do you remember?
We did quite a bit of sightseeing. The River Kwai we went down to where the movie was produced.
Could you fish there?
No, it was local, we looked at the local stuff. Thailand was pretty nice. They had some nice stores.
Did you buy anything?
Shoes, I think.
Did you send anything home? Were you able to send things home?
No, I didn't send it.
You didn't send anything.
Pictures. When we take pictures, we send them. have them developed stateside, and they would just send home because of the weather. Pictures wouldn't keep, colored pictures.
Really?
Yeah, it was too humid.
So,
Because you'd go out in the boonies, you had a locker, that you had to buy actually for storage.
you had to buy the locker?
From the Vietnamese.
Oh.
It was just a box, and actually, what they used, a lot of stuff was like beer cans that were never used or stamped of the sheet, the tin,
So
it
they
was
made
reversed, and they made lockers out of these. It's kind of funny how they use stuff.
And then did you just leave it for the next guy, or did you
Yeah,
sell it?
we didn't take it. You couldn't take it, no. Even in the base camp, some of us even bought mattresses because we just slept on cots. So it would be a little bit better to sleep on. But otherwise,
Were the mattresses,
they were just locally made they were kind of garbage. But they're better than cot because you didn't get no sleeping bags because you didn't need them. Blanket, I think we had a blanket.
if it was hot like that, you wouldn't want a sleeping bag?
No, you didn't want a sleeping bag. And we called them hooches actually. They were just kind of screened in. Some of them were even tents, screened in tents on platforms.
Did you listen to radio for entertainment? What kind of entertainment?
Yes, we did.
you
I
have?
had a small radio that we could listen to, and then the radio guys had battery packs. They changed on every day, and they were just, I think, C cells or D cells, and you could tear them apart, and you could use them for your own radio. So they were never run out. Yeah, I remember listening to, it was on a patrol when the Packers played, I think in '67, they played somebody.
And you got that?
Yeah, they had it on,
Wow.
because the military had their own radio stations, yeah.
And so you got to listen to the military station.
Which was, yeah.
And what kind of music did you listen to? Do you remember?
Just the stuff that was popular.
Uh-huh.
I never really got into music.
Okay.
Because on the farm we had one radio. A couple radio stations you could get, that was about it. So.
So you came back and you flew back in to Fort Lewis, Washington.
No, I flew back to Chicago, I think. And
Okay.
and I had a sister living in Milwaukee, actually South Milwaukee, Racine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I took the bus to Milwaukee and then went to her. She picked me up.
Mm-hmm. But you were stationed in Fort
Lewis after the leave.
after the leave.
Yeah.
Okay. And you processed new draftees and
Right.
enlisted.
Right off the buses with the hippies, the long hairs, and the kazoots. And yeah, we'd get 300-400 a night that he would process, get them into rosters and sign us sergeant to take them to their barracks, and then we'd shake them down too. And we'd have a box with a slot, they could put all their contraband in there. It's stuff they wanted to ship home. We gave them boxes and name tags they could pack. Because there was a lot of weapons come through and drugs and guys getting off jet aircraft, the little bottles of booze. But we'd get in the box and help ourselves to learn that stuff. Books, and magazines and knives. A lot of marijuana comes through. So,
Did you recognize any of them after they had their heads shaved and their beards
once they
shaved?
went through us, we were
You
done
didn't.
we were done with them.
You were
They
done.
went on and got tested, But we had some that come. Well, I signed up on a buddy, deal. Your buddy goes with you. Well, he got held back for some medical reason or something. Well, once you come to the reception station, you're put on the roster. Your buddy's gonna be gone somewhere else. Nothing you could do about it. But that was a fun time.
You enjoyed that?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, weekends we'd go to Seattle and Tacoma, and me and another guy, we took a trip up to Vancouver, British Columbia.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was great.
And how long were you stationed there?
Close to 6 months.
Mhm. Do you remember the day that you were discharged?
Yes, I do. We still had to line up and pick up cigarette butts in front of wherever they were discharging us and giving us our DD-214s. They wanted to make sure everything, all the paperwork was, all the medals and stuff that you earned was around the DD-214 because that's gospel once you get out. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I
And what did you feel like that day?
think I felt ecstatic. We were done. Nobody's going to tell us what to do anymore. And we all had girlfriends back home, so that was one good thing.
You received a Purple Heart combination with a V device.
A combination, now that's separate. That was for
Oh, okay.
valor. That's for valor. V means valor.
Okay, so you received a Purple Heart, and then you also received a combination.
It's some of, I can't remember the rest.
Okay. Who gave you your Purple Heart? Do you remember?
It was
receiving
like maybe the next day after you got out of surgery. I can't tell you. It's on the thing, but it was somebody.
Okay.
Maybe the battalion commander.
Okay.
I can't remember. No, but,
Okay. After you went home, or after you did your family know you were coming? You were discharged, and that you would be coming home.
yes, yeah. Okay.
And did you take some time off, or did you go straight back to working on the farm or working a job?
I got a job very shortly after that, working in a bakery actually, in the town next. Night, it was night shift work.
Did you, when you were in Vietnam, did any entertainers come out to visit you at your base camp, or did you see any entertainers?
Yes, there was. I can't remember who, but I remember they had a stage and seating was just ammo boxes. Some of the boxes are pretty. You can sit on them. Yes, and I think when I was in Saigon, there was some woman singer. I think she passed on. Lana, somebody.
Lana Horne?
Could have been. Came and shook our hands, and our awards and stuff come through.
And how long were you in Saigon?
30 days.
30 days. And you were in the hospital ward that whole time?
Right.
Okay.
Because I had a lot of scars, and, there was 200 and some stitches, that some of them were pretty deep. And I had a messed up leg. I couldn't walk hardly. So it took a lot of therapy to get the muscle or things stretched out.
Did they, do you feel you got good care while you were?
I think so. Yeah, I don't regret it. I never made a big deal out of it. Yes, we got good care. I know the day after, see, when you get hit in Vietnam like that, they clean your wounds and clean up everything, but they don't sew you up because they want it to drain for a couple of weeks or 10 days. So then you're feeling pretty good, but once they sewed you up, everything tightened up, and then you had the pain. So, you had to think about rolling over in bed because there was that much pain. That was just part of it. I remember that. But we had a nice little library, so we read a lot of books. I learned to read books.
Um, did you make any close friends in the service?
There's a couple.
Do you still?
One was from Madison, McDonald, and one Falkirch, he's from Illinois.
Do you still
I don't
see-
think, once in a while, I don't think nobody got too close because being infantry, we didn't know if they were coming back or not.
Mhm,
And then we were from all over the country too.
mhm.
So, no, we really weren't that tight. There were some, you know, I had my Brown was his name, he was a black person. But we were just two peas in a pod, you know, everybody was the same.
Does your division, does the infantry now, do they have reunions?
They do, but I have never attended. They're stationed out of Hawaii. It was a good place to go. Our neighbor was in the 25th also. He has gone. Actually, if you go to Hawaii and schedule it, you can get housing free as a member of the 25th Division for vacation. But I did maybe 10 years ago. Some woman or somebody asked for information about the death of her son, I think. And she wanted some more information, so, because we were probably there when it happened. She wanted to know exactly what happened. So I contacted her. We did talk about it. But no, I just got my service done, and that was the end of that.
And I know that you are a member of the DAV, Illinois DAV. And what chapter are you a member?
Chapter 86 out of Morris.
And
Currently, I'm the commander because nobody wants the job. So I'm doing it going on 6 years.
is it a pretty active?
We're very active. Yes, we collect a lot. We do a lot of forget-me-not sales. We do it for 6 weekends because we cover 4 counties because members are in 4 counties. Yeah, and then we spend the money and donate actually to veterans and veterans homes and Hines. Very, very active, yes. The people that are active, which is probably 10 of us or so. Yeah. I had joined, but I never was active, and then my neighbors wanted me to join and then participate. I never did. And probably 15 years ago, the commander sent me a letter asking me to come to a meeting. And the wife and kids said, "Yeah, you should be doing some of that." So I got involved. Now I'm too deep, she says, and stuff.
Do you belong to any other
I
organization?
VFW. So
Okay. If a young man or woman came to you today and said, "I'm thinking about joining the service," would you encourage them?
for the right reasons, I think I would, yes. And to pick a field that you can, leave and have something when you leave the service. Yes.
Is there anything you would like to add?
No, not really. I don't regret serving. I mean, it was good to me, and our kids got free tuition because of my, and their, how intelligent, how well they scored community service they did. From the veterans, actually Champaign, I think the state picks up the tab for that from the university. No, I don't regret it. I'm glad I served. And as you get older, you kind of appreciate it more that you came back. So, no, I enjoy it now. Life is good for me now. Being retired, good pensions, and wife being retired, having grandkids, and to spend the 4th of July in my Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. My daughter's husband's family is pretty well off. They were high in the corporate world. They got a nice big beach house. They gave us again this 4th of July weekend, free of charge, a boat. So we'll be doing well.
Well, Mr. Bronk, what I would like to do is, I would like to thank you for the time that you put into to serving our country and the time that you served and gave your life with. And I would also like to thank you for the honor you gave me today in sharing your story
Okay.
and your history. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.